Our next inductee is a documentary filmmaker. He wrote, directed, and co-produced one of my favorite movies called Happy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Roko Belic. Welcome, Dave.
All right. You guys, it's totally awesome to be here, not only because the inductees are awesome people, but every one of you is an awesome person. I had some great conversations before this thing started. 2 weeks ago, I was on a trip with some friends of mine and their daughter. Their daughter is friends with my daughter. They're 3.5 years old. And halfway through the weekend, her father said, "Oh, by the way, my daughter has pink eye." Pink eye is an eye infection. And my girlfriend said, "Oh my God, why didn't he tell us before? What a jerk, you know." And I said, "Don't worry about it. You know, I'm a happy guy. Like, don't stress. Nothing's going to happen. Our kid's not going to get it." 5 days later, our kid has 2 huge pink eyes, red. She can't go to school. And I'm saying, "Don't worry about it. We're not going to get it. You know, it's all good." And then a few days later, actually yesterday, I got pink eye. So hence the glasses. That's my excuse. The funny clothes, there's no excuse. My name is Roko Belic. I did spend 6 years making a movie about happiness, essentially trying to answer those questions: what actually causes human happiness, despite what we may hear in the media. And one of the findings that I really enjoyed and that kind of shocked me was how important happiness is, right? Happy people have better relationships, they do better at work, they're more creative, they're nicer to people, they're less likely to pollute. There's all these benefits, including that happy people are healthier, they tend to be healthier, and they actually live longer. So I thought, my God, that's amazing. I have to put that in my movie. How do we cover the subject of people who are happy and live long? And I remember when I was a kid, I loved the Guinness Book of World Records. And the oldest people very often came from Japan, specifically from Okinawa in Japan. My producing partner happened to be Japanese. It was a good excuse to go visit his mom. So we planned a trip to Okinawa. At the time, we couldn't find any research correlating happiness with the longevity that happens in Okinawa. But we went to a village called Ogimi-san. And Ogimi-san, the nickname for the village is the longevity village because there are more 100-year-old people living there than anywhere else in the world. And my friend, producing partner, had this great idea. Why don't we see what a 100-year-old happy person looks like when they're a baby? Let's go to the preschool here and see if we can see the seeds of a long and happy life, right? Totally cool idea. So we show up at this preschool, and the teacher says, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Today is the one day that we spend outside of the classroom, so you can't see what goes on in the class. We're going to have a foot race through town." And town is, you know, this tiny little village. There's no cars, so she says, "You know, if you want, you can follow us and watch what happens." So we follow these 50 super cute little kids, 2, 3, 4 years old, and a couple of teachers. And they just line up on a street corner. There's no cars. So, and you know, the race is sort of 50 yards to the next corner. And I noticed that there are a group of grandmothers who have convened on the far corner at the finish line. And so the race starts, and these kids start, you know, they're tearing across the street, and you know, a couple of them skin their knees, and a grandmother will run out and kind of pick them up and, you know, wipe the tears off their face. And when they crossed the finish line, the grandmothers were there. It was like a gauntlet of love. They were hugging them and kissing them. Not typically the kind of restrained affection that we think of when we think of Japan. I mean, that's a stereotype, but these people were warm. It was like Italy, you know. It was something where it was like those stories, yeah, of Italian grandmas. And I thought, wow, this is very interesting. I need to find out. So I go to the first grandma and I say, you know, "Congratulations on having such a speedy grandchild." You know, I was just making small talk. I just wanted to start the conversation. And she looked at the kid, and the kid immediately ran out of her arms, and another kid jumped in her arms, and she hugged him and then ran away. And she looked at me up and down, and she said, "Oh, my grandkids they're older than you." And I said, "Oh, well, wait, if none of these are your grandkids, which of your friends," there's about 10 or 15 grandmas, "which one of your friends are related to which ones of these kids?" Because by this point, it was like a melee of hugs, and they started singing a traditional Okinawan song, and they're all clapping. And this woman kind of looked at her friends, and she looked at all these kids, and she goes, "Actually, none of us are related to any of them." And I said, well, what are you doing here, right? I mean, it's like Tuesday afternoon, like, what are you doing? And she looked at me like I was crazy. Like, well, obviously, you know, obviously we're here because the kids are here. Like, why wouldn't we be here? There are kids here. Some of them are going to scrape their knees. Some of them want to be hugged and kissed, and we're here for them. And now I had 2 great parents. My dad was a doctor. He worked a lot. And my mom was a cosmetologist, and she worked a lot, and she, you know, had a lot of work with raising two kids. And my dad, I remember, he came to see me play hockey once. We played a bunch of sports growing up. Great parents. My dad came once. He was just busy. You know, nothing against him, but in our culture, it is not normal to go and support a group of strange kids you never met before during a sporting event or some athletic event. So I thought, wow, this is interesting and different than where I grew up. Let's see what the end of a long and happy life looks like. So we asked them if we could go to the cemetery. And they said, oh, I'm sorry, there's no cemetery here. And I was like, okay, well, what is going on? People must die, obviously. I mean, we did interview a 106-year-old lady, but there's no 110-year-old people there anymore. So where are they? And they say, well, it used to be around the corner of the path, if you go around the bend, but now it's a paved road. So to drive around the first bend as you go out of town, and there's a communal urn. So we drive around there, and there's this facade in the mountainside, like a gateway, a stone, beautiful carved gateway into the mountain. And they said, when people die in Ogimisan, we're cremated, and we're taken to that urn, and our ashes are mixed with the other villagers. They're connected in a way that I have never experienced before in my life, not only in their lives, but even in their deaths. We have a family plot in Yugoslavia, in Serbia, or sorry, in Croatia now, and it's a big deal for my family. In Ogimisan, you're connected to the entire community in that way. The story doesn't end there, because we're here. And it makes me wonder, who am I not connecting to? Who do I have an opportunity to connect to that I haven't been connecting to? And you know, I have some of my best friends I haven't seen in years, because in America it's very normal, as you follow your career or a relationship, to go somewhere else other than where you grew up. And I want to encourage you guys to think of somebody who you are not connected to that you could, an old friend, an old relative, the person who serves you coffee. Somebody, a stranger, it doesn't matter who, somebody, and reach out, just try it. Because that led the Okinawans to be some of the happiest, oldest people on earth. And I think we can all move a step in that direction. Thank you very much. Thank you.